YouTube and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell from the title of the video, today's topic is going to be all about what you should know, what you should bring, what you should prepare for if you're going to be coming to Italy for an extended period of time. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Tia and this channel is all about my life in Italy. I am American, but I went to school here and now I work here, and I'm just your go-to girl if you want to ask a question about what it's like in Italy as somebody from abroad. The first thing on my list is your stash of over-the-counter pain medicines and your stash of over-the-counter cold and flu medicines, because you guys, I don't know if it's Italy doing it wrong or maybe it's America doing it wrong, but these two grades of medicines aren't the same. Personally, since I grew up with the American ones, since I'm used to the American ones, I prefer the American ones. Talking about cold and flu medicines, the Italian ones just don't seem strong enough to me. They don't do what I need them to do. When I take NyQuil in America, that stuff will have me knocked the fuck out and I will be able to sleep at night. I feel like when you're really sick and you have a cough and you have a fever, you're not able to sleep at night, and so your body isn't able to rest and recharge. It makes it that much harder for you to get over the cold or the flu. I find that Italian medicines don't help me to sleep, and so I'm up all night coughing, throwing up, sneezing, whatever, and I just feel like I'm sick for so much longer. Whereas with the American stuff, it's a lot stronger and you'll get over your cold and your flu in like 2 to 3 days as opposed to 2 to 3 weeks when I'm using the Italian stuff.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Every time I go back to America, I always stock up on my Dayquil and my NyQuil. Even though I don't get sick that often, the 1 or 2 times a year that I do, I'm just gonna need my American stuff. Another grade of medicine that you might want to bring with you is ibuprofen, and just like over-the-counter painkillers. They have them in Italy, but they are insanely expensive. I don't know why. Ibuprofen in and of itself, I know it costs less in the UK and I know it costs less in the US. I don't know about other parts of the world. In Italy, you'll go to the pharmacy, ask for ibuprofen, even the generic ones, you guys, and they'll give you like 6 pills, 10 pills for 10 euros, whereas $10 can get you a huge jug of ibuprofen. So this is another thing that whenever I go back to the States, I always stock up on my ibuprofen because, you know, at least once a month, I really need to use it and I need a ready supply at home, and I'm just not about to spend all of my money on ibuprofen when it exists someplace else for cheaper. So if you're coming from a place where you have easy access to cold and flu medicines and cheap ibuprofen, I would bring those along with me, because in Italy the situation is not exactly the same. Another thing that I would advise you guys to be prepared for and maybe bring along with you is mosquito spray and the mosquito situation in Italy. I can only speak about Milan and I can only speak about Marche, so that's like in the central area, but the mosquitoes in Italy are insane, you guys. There's a lot of them. They bite and you can walk away with like these golf ball size mosquito bites, these mosquito bumps. They're really savage, especially in Milan. Now, I have a theory about the mosquitoes in Milan. In Milan, you know, we have the world famous Navigli canals, right? Which is basically just still water. It's not a river. It's just water that's sitting there, and it's been sitting there for like hundreds of years. I think that the mosquitoes of this area drink that water and have developed some kind of genetic mutation that allows them to be stronger, faster, meaner, ruder. These mosquitoes appear in like March. As soon as the weather gets a little bit above freezing, you'll start seeing mosquitoes, and they go away around like December. So you'll have maybe 3 or 4 months of the year in Milan where you don't have to deal with these dang mosquitoes that are so brutal, so vicious, so fast. They fly away so fast you can't even kill them. And I'm telling you, when they bite you, or at least when they bite me, I have these giant bumps and sores from the mosquitoes here. So another thing that's really expensive in Italy, and I don't know why. There are some things in Italy that are not expensive, and then there are some things that are super expensive. I don't know who picked what was going to be super expensive and what was going to be super cheap in Italy, but mosquito spray is kind of expensive. So you should bring that along with you, and also be prepared for the fact that if you're going to a city like Milan, so I would assume that Venice is similar because they also have, you know, a lot of canals, a lot of still water around. I know that Rome has issues with mosquitoes as well. If you're coming to Italy, I would definitely be prepared for mosquitoes and the fact that when the sun goes down, you will be eaten if you are not protected. Another thing you should bring along, and is just, my advice from, experience living here and what I find easier, is to have a functioning debit card with you. Whenever I travel, not just to Italy, but to any country really, just bring my debit card. I advise my bank that I will be traveling, and I use my debit card there. The rate that you can get from an ATM is usually a lot better than the rate you'll get ordering money from a bank. And also another tip that I didn't know until recently is when you're paying with your debit card in a store and they give you the option to pay in your currency or the local currency, always choose the local currency, because apparently it works out that you pay less. It's a lot less of a hassle. You don't have to worry about planning a trip to the bank and ordering money in advance. You just get to the country, go to your nearest ATM, and withdraw the amount you need. And who knows, maybe you won't even need local currency, because there's a lot of places, thank God Italy is changing, but Milan every day is getting more and more cashless, and so you can probably use your debit card or your credit card exclusively. Another thing, especially my girls, you should be aware of is bring comfortable shoes. I don't know why I keep seeing people talking about how Italian women and European women in general walk around in heels all the time. That is a bold-faced lie by evil men and women that want to see you break your neck. And you'll see it when you get here. If you live in a city with cobblestones, you're not walking around on cobblestones in heels. Unless you can afford to have a lifestyle where you're going to be using exclusively taxis or your own car as a mean of transportation, uncomfortable shoes aren't a good idea in Italy. Italy has a lifestyle that is really based on walking around to get around, using public transportation to get around, and so if your shoes are uncomfortable, you're really just setting yourself up for failure. And not enough people, I feel, stress the importance of having comfortable shoes when you come to Europe. I mean, like I said, if you have the money to always take a taxi, then you don't really need to worry, and yeah, you can live a heels lifestyle if that's what you're used to. But usually students and people that are coming for extended vacations don't plan on taking taxis everywhere, so I just thought I'd give you a heads up that walking on cobblestones in heels is no joke. And this is not to say that nobody does it. Maybe an Italian woman that's been living here all her whole life and is on Italian level 20 million and is a lot more experienced than you could be walking around on cobblestones with heels because she's more skilled. That's her thing. But you, as a newbie, as a beginner to Italy, just coming without any experience with cobblestones, you're gonna get hurt. Don't do it to yourself. I'm telling you, don't do it. Another big thing that you should bring with you when you're coming to Italy for an extended period of time is patience and an open mind. Now, of course, this depends where you're coming from because every country is different. If we're looking at things on a spectrum, Italy might be in the middle. I'm talking from a US perspective and an Italian perspective, but your country could be all the way over here, so maybe you won't notice these kinds of things. But if you're coming from a country that is closer to the US than it is to Italy, things are going to be very different. Sometimes things are going to be slower. Sometimes things are going to be more complicated. And the complication might not even be from the situation being more complicated, really, but it's just the fact that it's different and it's new to you. When you first come to a new place, you just have to really let your guard down, be patient, and take a good 2 to 3 months to just observe and take what's coming at you. Because if you come in with a mindset of this has to be like this and go this way, I can guarantee you that you're not going to be happy and you're going to spend a lot of time being upset as opposed to enjoying your vacation or your stay in Italy. And actually, I think that this advice could extend to anywhere you go because every country is different. Every country has different habits, ways of doing things, ways of seeing things. And if you come in with a rigid mindset, you're not going to be happy. Another word of advice. I recently got this message on Instagram of somebody asking me what the chances were of her getting kidnapped in Italy were. Maybe she had just watched Taken. I don't know. I don't know the statistics. Honestly, I don't feel like they're very high. But at the same time, Italy is home to the Italian mafia. That shit is real. So I don't want to exclude anything and say, oh, don't worry about anything. What I would say in general is to not let your guard down. Just because you're coming to a European country, maybe you might think that bad things don't ever happen here. Maybe when you have the rose-colored lenses of vacation or study abroad, you don't behave as you would as at home. You're maybe not as cautious or as aware as you would be in your home country, in your home nation. And I would just say don't do this, because I was like this in the beginning, and I got robbed, pickpocketed twice, and put in some really uncomfortable situations just from being naive. And now that I'm this seasoned city girl from Milan, like, things are just totally different. You hear stories about especially American students getting themselves into some really precarious situations, and it's crazy because it's just like, you know that when you're in college, you wouldn't go out randomly drunkenly in public in random places in the States either, because it's illegal. So why would you do it in Italy and then, I don't know, get yourself into a dangerous situation, you know? Just be aware, just act like you would if you were at home, and don't exaggerate. Have fun without exaggerating. I don't think that you're at any super high risk of getting kidnapped here, but definitely be on your guard and don't do anything you wouldn't do at home. Last but not least, it kind of connects to my come with an open mind point, and it's just, you know, to not get hung up on anything negative that would happen in Italy. Because at the end of the day, if you're coming for study abroad or you're coming for vacation, you're not gonna be here forever. And like I said, it's an interesting place. Weird things happen, sometimes bad things happen, and this could happen. One of these things could happen to you early on in your stay, and it's a general advice I feel that could apply to anywhere. You don't want to let a negative thing that happens to you one day determine the rest of your vacation or the rest of your stay. The second that you start thinking in a negative mindset, more negative things are going to happen to you. Whereas conversely, if you take things with a more positive stride, I find in my experience, the more positive things tend to follow. So if something bad or negative happens to you while you're on vacation or abroad, studying abroad somewhere, my biggest advice would be to just, you know, let it go, because you're gonna ruin your whole trip. That's my advice on what you guys should be prepared for, bring with you, and, you know, just my general advice on if you're coming to Italy for vacation, study abroad, whatever. I hope that you guys found it useful. Anybody that's watching that lives in Italy or has vacationed in Italy or has studied abroad in Italy or anywhere else, if you have any general information that you would like to share with the community, we'd all find it super helpful. So just, you know, just leave it in the comment section down below. Sharing is caring, especially when it comes to knowledge. Thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk, and as always, I will see you guys in my next one. Mwah.